All right, so I want to bring in some samples to the MPC and just explore this new algorithm with RePITCH warping. I don't know, I might just mess around with a little bit of stem separation alongside with RePITCH warping and see what we bring together or put together with these records. Let's get right into it and have a good time. Oh, and also do not forget, if you want to purchase anything when it comes down to audio equipment, go down to the link of my video. I'll have links to what I use when it comes down to making beats, my record player, my MPC, cables, SD cards. So if you're going to pick anything up, use my links to Zounds down in the description. Let's get right into it. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. All right, let's go ahead and process this and just get this 8-beat selection. All right, so now I'm going to use some stem separation because on the downbeat where this drum break starts, I do have a bass note that hits. Boom, boom. So I want to get rid of that. I'm going to go to process, scroll all the way through, and I want to just extract the drums by itself. There's no vocals, there's no bass or any other. I just want those drums to come out on its own. I'm not going to put that in any track. I just want to go ahead and process that. Oh no, this is the original. This is the one with the drums. That's good enough for me. I'm going to convert this into its own program, hit do it, and now we have that. Cool. I'm going to tap out this tempo. It's about 88 beats per minute. Let's keep this at 88. I'm going to sequence this right here on the grid. Yeah. Cool. I'm going to jump into the track editor, and right here, I want to go with this droplet icon, go to all. So whatever I do within the track editor, it could affect all of my pads. I'm going to go to tail length and bring it up to at least 2 milliseconds so we don't hear any clicks or pops in between each hit. So we have a drum break right here on the grid. This is where it gets really fun with this new algorithm with repitching. I've set the tempo. The tempo of these drums, I was tapping it out and it gave me 88 beats per minute. Awesome. But if I go into this track editor, I'm able to go right here to BPM sync, make sure that's engaged, and also warping is engaged. But now they've introduced this new feature called RePITCH. What RePITCH is going to do is I will tell the MPC right here what is the original tempo of these chops, which we had tapped out 88. So I'm going to bring this down to 88 beats per minute. It's locked in at 88. If I hit play on my MPC, we should hear that drum break playing at the original pitch. That's great. So it's locked in. Now, what's really cool is if I want to speed up my sequence or slow down my sequence, I'm able to do that in real time. And since this track, it's in the RePITCH algorithm with my warping, it's going to change the pitch to match the tempo that I want to be at. So for an example, if I hit play, notice that I'm going to switch the tempo in real time and it's going to repitch those chops so it could stay locked into that tempo. Let's go very fast. Let's go very slow. Now, you know what? To make this a little more interesting, let's open up this drum track and let's go to effects. Let's add some plugins right here. Let's go to dynamics and let's go to transient. Bring down the sustain a little bit. Let's go to harmonics and let's go to air flavor, bring up some distortion, the noise. Woo, woo, woo. Yo. Let's bring in an EQ, para EQ. Yeah, right there. Now let's finish it off with some soft clipper. Nice. Let me bring in this other record right here.
Girl and the lamp.
I'm just gonna listen to this.
Window once I waited for you. Laughing slightly, you would run. Trees alone.
I want to go into my sample editor. Now, I don't know if you heard the same thing I heard, but as soon as I don't know if it's keys or the synth comes in, it kind of plays off beat. I want to see if we could stem out his vocals because his voice is a little too distracting. Let me make my selection first.
By the window once I waited for you.
All right, let's get that selection right here. Go to process. I'm going to go all the way over here to stem separation. Guys, meanwhile, this is separating those stems. This right here, to me, is my favorite update when it came down to this whole release of the 3.0. I know the integration of native instruments, that's cool and all that, but I hardly use any keys. I'm not a musician or a keyboard player, so whenever I do use a plugin instrument, it's just going to be minor key hits to add on top of my samples. Now, what really excites me is when we get updates like this, since when it comes down to chopping up records, I enjoy having the options to pitch up, pitch down, and adjust and just locked in with my tempo. This is going to be fun for us that like to sample records. Now we have that right here. All right, so let's go into this track edit. So right here, I see that we either have two choices. What I'm used to doing, I like going to global, and right here in global, I just either pitch this up or pitch it down. We have two choices right here. I could either pitch this up or pitch it down when I'm in my track editor, or now I either have the option to leave this the way it is, not pitching up or down, just go into our samples tab, and right here, make sure this is warped is engaged. Now that warp is engaged, I'm gonna go to the algorithm and go to RePITCH. I gotta make sure I set this BPM to the tempo that my track is currently on, which is 83. So it sounds exactly the way it originally sounded from the record. Now, if I want to pitch this up or down the way I would do it with global, this is not going to work anymore. If I pitch it down, it's just bypassed, or I don't hear anything changing because this warp feature is engaged with RePITCH. If I want to pitch this up or down, now I'll use this BPM function right here. Once I find the pitch that I want to commit to, let's say I like how this sounds right here. I'm going to record this onto my grid. All right, so up to this point, awesome, right? We have this RePITCH function. What about it, right? What's so interesting about this, and what could we do? Let's say right now I have two tracks in this sequence. I have my drum breaks and I have my sample chops, which they're chopped up. It's not just a loop where we're only dealing with one piece of audio. We're dealing with multiple chops. Now, we've set up our entire program to have this warp engaged with RePITCH. So everything is working together as one track. This is cool because, again, this is not just one audio or just one pad or one chop. This is my whole entire 16 chops, 32, how many ever chops you may have on your MPC. And if for some reason the next day you wake up and you're just like, man, you know what? This is too fast for me. Let me slow down the tempo. What do you do then? Because all of your chops are already chopped up. They're already sequenced. Well, now, as long as that warping is engaged, you could hit play on your sequence, and in real time, whatever tempo I adjust to is going to lock it in using RePITCH. Let's go ahead and listen to this. So that is awesome. That is really cool to have multiple sample chops if you're combining different tracks and being able to lock these in, especially when it comes down to percussion. When it comes down to hi-hats or just percussive instruments that I will hear on a record, I'm not afraid to change the pitch of those percussive sounds because that's not going to affect the key that I'm working with. Now, if you have multiple tracks with different chops from the same record, if you have everything synced up to this RePITCH and everything is on the same pitch, as you go up or down on your sequence, it's all going to sound locked in and on the same RePITChed tone. Now, here's another thing, because this was my concern. All right, cool, this is awesome. What if, because this is something that I go through a lot when I'm sampling records, I have something right now, it's a pretty cool sequence, right? It's just a loop, 2 bars, pretty repetitive. Let's say in a few minutes, once I have the sample program already created with my chops, what if I want to go back to the record and go to bank B and start sampling into additional pads within the same record? What's going to happen with this whole RePITCH? Am I going to have to look for it was a little confusing. Well, I don't know how this is going to do it, but it locks everything in and it repitches everything to match what we originally had within our first pads or banks of pads that we were already worked for. Let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about because it's going to be a little easier. I'm going to go to bank B, go back into our sampler, go to pad tap so I can add into this already created program, and let's listen to different sections. All right, so I just added I actually added 3 bars from a different part of the song. Now, what's going to happen? Is the pitch going to be off because we've already fluctuated the tempo and it's a bit off right now? Okay, so now that I'm listening to this, is actually different. This is obviously at a lower pitch. This is going to be higher. All we have to do is just remember that we set this first bank of pads to this tempo at 90 beats per minute. So I'm guessing if we go over here to bank B with these additional new pads, if I go to this 4 square icon, I'm going to get off of all. I'm going to go to multiple and select those chops that we just brought in, which is going to be right here. Hit close. And now we got to set these to 90 beats per minute to match the first bank that we had right here. I'm going to double tap this and just put this exactly at 90, hit do it. Now it should be locked in.
I can hear them in the spring.
All right, go right here and do the same thing. I want to select multiple, deselect these, put this new selection to 90, hit do it.
Sometimes in
So now we have 3 different banks filled up with different sections of the record. As long as we select that new bank of chops and we put those matching the same tempo of the original chops, we should be locked in so we could continue to sample and bring in new additional samples to the already existing programs. This is really, really cool because, again, the way I work and the way I sample, I'm very in the moment. I have a pre-planned idea when I listen to a record, but I don't know what's going to happen after I put together that idea that I initially heard. I like to keep listening to the record, and it always happens that as I'm listening and I'm like 50% done with my chops and my sequence already put together, something else strikes, something else that I hear, and I'm able to bring that into this sequence and continue the sequence. Really, really cool being able to do that. I know there's so much right here with this MPC 3.0. A lot of people that have been still in 2.0 and not wanting to jump over to 3, now is a good time to do it. Now, if you are new to the MPC and you're just like, man, I'm excited, I want to learn the MPC, you're seeing all these updates come out. I do have a course that takes you from start to finish with the MPC workflow. The course does cover MPC 2.0 and it also covers MPC 3.0 3.0. So if you want to hop over to 3.0 and you want to learn just how to make a beat from start to finish, sign up to the course today. We also offer payment plans. So if you want to start watching the videos as of right now, you could purchase the course and set up payment plans as you're learning. I saw a bunch of questions on my previous video, and to answer that software version. Another thing is some people were asking if I already purchased from Native Instruments some of their VSTs like Analog Dreams or any of the VSTs that you'll see that they're releasing now with the MPC. Do I need to repurchase those? Yes, I believe you do need to repurchase those because those are made for the MPC. As far as I know at the moment, you would have to make an additional purchase, which I think they're like $25 or $30 within the $20 range. All right, so another question I'm going through right here is, this is very cool, but are we safe with using 2 gigs of RAM with our MPC? That's a great question. As far as me using this 3.0 with these new software plugins, I've been okay. I've not had no crashes. I haven't had no buffer or lag or anything like that. I've been able to use some of the Native Instruments VSTs or plugins fine with my MPC Live, my MPC Keys, or my MPC One. Keep in mind, I'm not a musician, so I don't have 5 different instrument plugins running at the same time. The way I work, I usually just have my drums, my sample chops, a bass, and if it calls for, I'll bring in a plug-in instrument and I'll sprinkle some keys on top of what I'm working with. But I'm not out running the RAM of the MPC. It's been fine. I probably ran 2 or 3 instances of those plugs, and I have not dealt with any crashes. All right, so another question is, what is lost when upgrading to MPC 3? Am I gonna lose any of my programs that I had in 2.0? No, programs are still on MPC 3. You could still load previous programs onto your MPC. As a matter of fact, if I like how this sounds, look, my drums, if I want to save those drums to a program, I can still save in drum program, put that on my folder and hit save. So I'm able to save my programs individually the way we would in 2.0. And if you have a library of drum programs, which that's what I had hundreds of different sample chop programs saved in 2.0. When I came up to 3.0, I'm still able to upload or load those programs with my session. Do you think they're gonna drop a new hardware like this weekend, or an MPC Live Mark III, or just a new piece of hardware? I would think they are. I'm not sure. Depending on when you're watching this video, NAMM is right around the corner. So if they do drop a new piece of hardware, maybe at NAMM is where they're going to release it. But from what I know, nothing that I've heard, but other than the MPC 3 officially launched. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up right here. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I'll catch y'all on our next one. Peace.